Good. All right. Hello and welcome to today's 45-minute webinar presentation. It's all about AI, artificial intelligence, and search engine optimization. We're going to dissect Google's new SGE, Search Generative Experience. It's actually launching globally as we speak. So my question to you guys, are you ready? All right. So my name is Chris Rolfe. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing, originally from Switzerland. Moved to Colorado back in '96. I've been in digital marketing for, I guess, about 25 years now. I got into SEO before Google was actually called Google. They were called Backrub back then. So sort of like a passion or hobby turned into a career. I now speak globally about AI and search engine optimization. So I would definitely consider myself a bit of an AI and SEO nerd. And my claim to fame, and I encourage you to Google it. If you do a Google search for international SEO expert, I think no matter where you are in the world, maybe it depends, but you should see my personal website pop up at the very top in Google. So this gets me a lot of speaking engagements. I just spoke in Denmark about global and multilingual digital marketing and how SGE is affecting SEO on a global scale. So definitely look me up. Then, Daniel, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, very quickly. I am going to assist Chris today in the presentation. I am the operating officer here at Boulder SEO Marketing, and I'm originally from Brazil. In my past life, I used to run and own a website design agency in Los Angeles. So a big part of what I bring to the table is the website side of things and the experience and how it plays into SEO and usability and so forth. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today has to do with how the website interacts with and contributes to the search engine optimization. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I bring to the table. And a lot of our clients that work with BSM, they usually work with me as part of the onboarding and the strategy work. So I kind of bring the bigger picture idea and try to incorporate that into achievable milestones that are going to generate results. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. All right. So we have unfortunately, not enough time to really cover this exciting topic in depth, but we have a little bit of time together. So we'll talk about, finally, something new is happening in search, right? AI is completely changing SEO as we know it. So we'll take a look at, what's going on with the SEO world, from like yesterday to today to tomorrow. Then a quick overview of the new Search Generative Experience. We'll dive deeper into it later in this presentation. Everything is about to change as we know it. And then new AI and SEO terms are popping up as we speak. So just a very brief overview of terms that I think you should be familiar with that will help you understand how this new SEO world is working and why. Then we'll talk about, what SEO strategies we actually need to focus on in which SEO strategies we absolutely need to ditch. And then last but not least, we'll talk about strategies to optimize for the new Search Generative Experience, which is absolutely the future of SEO. It is rolling out as we speak globally. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. So if you already have questions, please submit them through the chat interface, and we'll get to the questions at the end of the presentation, potentially tackle a few questions throughout this presentation if absolutely applicable. All right, so finally, something new is happening in search. As you may recall, Google's search engine results pages, they haven't really changed that dramatically over the last 20 years. So this new SGE, Search Generative Experience, it's actually going to change the Google SERPs, search engine results pages, quite dramatically. And this webinar is about how to optimize for this transformation. All right, so I'm going to quickly exit screen sharing here. I want to briefly take a look at what were like the 25 biggest moments in search that actually led us to the SGE here. So let me see. Oh boy. How do I get? Oh, there we go. So I'm going to have to share my screen again. Sorry about that. I'll share my screen again. Daniel, let me know if you can see my desktop. So we're quickly going to take a look at this page here. And everybody, perfect. Everybody on this webinar will receive the link to the slides. So no need to take a screenshot or write down the URLs. But this is a great page on Google that basically walks us through the some of the biggest developments that the search giant has come up with over the last 20 plus years. So images, then Google News, that was a big thing that emerged in early 2000. Autocomplete, local information, Google Maps, Google Translate was a big deal, Google Trends, universal search. I mean, many of these things may not say that much to you, but if you're an SEO, if you've been an SEO for as long as I am, those were big deals, right? Voice search, the knowledge graph, that was a massive change to the Google SERPs, etc., 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 etc. Bart, that was a massive algorithm update where Google was able to better understand context. All right, that was actually a big AI algorithm update. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then look at that, multi-search. Here we are, 2023, Search Generative Experience. So this, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest, probably the biggest update to Google search as we know it. All right, let's get back into presentation mode here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this page on Google's website, but Google is way more transparent about when they release core algorithm updates. So simply, bookmark this page and see what's going on. There are a few algorithm updates rolling out as we speak. If you do SEO the right way, you should never have to worry about these algorithm updates. Daniel, we're actually excited, right, when these core algorithm updates roll out.
Yeah, very much so. And the reason being is because a lot of what we do, which is always, kind of best practices, which is a lot of what Chris is going to talk about today, when there's these algorithm updates, it actually boosts and it gives credit to websites that have been doing things the right way. And a lot of times, when you're following a lot of these older strategies, stuff that maybe back in the days were good, but now are considered black hat, all of a sudden you start getting penalized. So it really pays off to do the right thing, especially when you see these algorithm updates roll out.
Excellent. All right. So really the first time that Google introduced machine learning or AI into its algorithm was way back in 2015. A lot of people didn't realize it, but there was a massive algorithm update called Rank Brain. And this is when search truly changed and Google's algorithm update algorithm dramatically improved. So that's just a good to know kind of piece of information. All right. Ever since the AI hockey stick effect has happened, investment in AI has skyrocketed, right? This led basically to today, and the launch of tools such as ChatGPT, Google Bart, and other AI tools. This was only possible because I think Google led the way in introducing machine learning and AI into their algorithm. And so we're going to see, I think what we're seeing now is nothing compared to what we're going to see over the next 3, 4, 5 years in terms of development when it comes to AI and digital marketing and any other aspect of our lives. All right, I'm sure if you're a little bit older, like I am, Daniel even, you probably remember that slogan, there's an app for that, right? As of right now and in the future, there will be an AI for that. If you follow the space closely as I do, every day there's new AI developments happening. There's new tools popping up, right? I get a ton of, because I'm a little bit known in this space now, I get a ton of unsolicited emails where new tools, they ask me to test their new applications. It's really fascinating what's happening. So now is the time to embrace AI and incorporate it into your SEO strategy. Otherwise, you may be falling behind. So, as I mentioned earlier, as we speak, as you can see there, November 8th, Google announced that the generative AI in search currently expands to 120 new countries and territories. I think, ironically, none of the major European markets are covered with this current expansion. But I guess that probably within a month, people in Europe that are using Google will be able to jump on the new SGE experience. All right. And I apologize, I have a cold, so I may be coughing once in a while. All right, so let's briefly take a look at, what is this new SGE? All right, so the SGE is a version of Google Search that uses generative AI. I'm sure many of you have used ChatGPT, where you can ask that tool, hey, write me a blog post about this, or write an essay about this, or how long does it take to fly to the moon, etc., etc. So you interact with these tools in a very conversational way. You can ask follow-up questions. They even create images and videos now. So SGE is separate from Google Bart. Google Bart is Google's competitive tool in response to ChatGPT. And it's currently launched in beta. It's rolling out to more and more countries and languages as we speak. So this is this is not what it looks like. So right now, if you do a Google search for, largest mammal in the world, right there, the first organic result is a position 0. It's the Wikipedia listing. So if you do the exactly same search with SGE on the back end, check this out. You get a very conversational, more like an in-depth answer about, the largest mammal in the world. As you can see there, it pulls in various resources on the right there. At the bottom, you have images related to this search. And then you can ask follow-up questions, right? It even pre-populates, relevant questions. You just click on that and you dive deeper into this topic. And as you can see there, the first organic search result that we're seeing right now in the, normal Google in quotes has been pushed down quite a bit. So this is the new reality, right? So if you already have access to SGE, I do recommend that do a search for your target SEO keyword. If Google is triggering an SGE, this means that you're probably going to have to optimize for it. And we'll talk more about this in a second here. All right, so if you don't already have access to this new experiment, simply head over to labs.google.com. If your country where you currently reside is part of the experiment, you'll be able to sign up. And then once you're approved, you'll see that little bottle there, the labs bottle, and then you also see the option where you can try a AI-powered overview when you do a search. All right, so that's a really quick introduction to SGE. Let's quickly talk about new AI and SEO terms that are popping up. So ChatGPT launched back in November of last year, just about a year ago. And as probably most of you on this webinar know, I mean, such a craziness, right, about this tool. I really thought that Google would go out of business. It's like the greatest thing on earth. Everybody tried it. So I think it's finding its place. I think we're at the very beginning of what these tools are actually capable of. So we're going to see tremendous progress over the next 3, 4, 5 years, where these tools, they're going to see so massive improvements that we're all going to use these generative AI tools on a daily basis in whatever applications we use on the internet. So it definitely, I had a Google moment when ChatGPT emerged. I immediately realized this is going to change the internet and life as we know it. And I think I've been right. I mean, so many things have changed in such a short amount of time. And I'm actually excited to see what's next. So Google, they launched their competitive product called Google Bart in about 4 months after ChatGPT. They were a little bit late to the game. I was actually very surprised that they missed the boat there. But I do believe that Bart will actually eventually overtake ChatGPT simply because Google has access to the most amount of data on the internet. These tools are feeding on data that's out there, and Google currently has access to the most amount of data on the internet. So I use Google Bart. I probably already more than ChatGPT. If you haven't already tried this tool, simply, just do a Google search for Google Bart and check it out. Then large language models, that's what those tools are. That's basically the description of what ChatGPT and Bart are. They are massive language models that are able to feed on this data and then create information such as human quality like text in response to a prompt. So they're called large language models. All right, this is a interesting slide. Artificial intelligence, as we know it right now, basically refers to the ability of a machine to mimic human intelligence, right? It's not creating net new information. It's feeding on the data that's currently available out there on the internet. And then through these AI algorithms that have been developed, these ChatGPTs and Google Barts are now able to create human-like text that we see that they're spitting out when you ask them something to do. On the other side, artificial general intelligence, we're probably, I would say, 3, 4, 5, maybe more years away from AGI to hit. But basically, AGI refers to the creation of machines that can perform any intellectual task that a human can. So I do believe a lot of oversight needs to happen, because as you can imagine, this can easily get out of control, right? All of a sudden we have machines that can perform intellectual tasks as a human being. They can actually think ahead, create, net new content, net new things. So it's a little bit scary, also exciting. And I think a lot of governments will have to step up and, make sure that this whole AI craziness is not getting out of control. All right. So which SEO strategies do we need to focus on, and which ones do we need to ditch? Well, probably the elephant in the room, and I would love to hear if some of you have actually done this. Have any of you just used ChatGPT or Google Bart to create content and then put it up on your website? So if you're okay with it, let's just do an informal poll here. Have you used one of these tools, created a piece of content, and then put it up on your website? Well, so I gave a presentation about global digital marketing, how AI, tools are going to change global digital marketing. So for that purpose, for that presentation, I actually did that, right? I used ChatGPT to create a pretty in-depth blog post on what SEO strategies to implement in 2023. I actually ran it through Grammarly. I put quite a lot of effort into coming up with something that actually sounds pretty good. It was a long piece of content. As you can see there, I launched it on December 29. Initially, it got a little bit of traction, but then look at that, as of a couple of days ago, it's barely getting noticed at all. It does not generate any kind of traffic. So Google clearly has identified that this piece of content was created using AI, right? So why would Google want to identify that a piece of content was created with AI? Well, they're spending a ton of money indexing content in their server farms. As you can imagine, right now, millions, if not billions, of pieces of content are getting added to the internet. So this is costing Google, a good amount of money. So they had to quickly update their algorithm to be able to weed out this AI generated content, because they don't want to spend money indexing that content. It has absolutely no value. It's just like spun content. It's not net new content. So this is what we're seeing with AI generated content. All right. So however, and Daniel, I'm going to ask you there, there's nothing wrong with using AI to assist the process, right? Daniel, let me actually quickly finish this slide, and then I'll let you talk about, some ways that we use AI to assist the process here. But for a presentation that I gave last month in Denmark, I wanted to see how fast could I get a new piece of content to rank at the top in Google for my target SEO keywords. So this piece of content was created brand new from scratch. I published it on August 9th. And as you can see there, immediately it got traction in Google. So was it AI generated content? Absolutely not. But I did use AI to help me with the process, such as, define buyer personas, help me create an outline, Basically, I used it to do a lot of the research, the busy work, and this is the result. This piece of content is killing it. I'll show you how it ranks in a little bit. But Daniel, do you want to briefly talk about, what are some options on how to potentially use AI throughout the AI SEO process?
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's a big question, right? AI is here. What's the best usage of it? And, in my personal life, I use it for certain things, but at Boulder SEO, right? One thing we don't use it for is creating content for obvious reasons. Chris showed you the reason it doesn't rank, but things that actually AI is really good at. There's three that come to mind right away, right? One of them is social media posts, social media topics, social media when we need to repurpose specific things. It's pretty good for that. When we have to write emails, a lot of times when we have to, create some automations or outbound emails, that's also good. But when it comes to SEO, the way we really use either ChatGPT or Bart, and the way I usually do it is I actually give both of them prompts and see who comes up with the best, result. And a lot of times it's one, a lot of times it's the other, and sometimes it's a combination of two. But I use it for creating outlines, right? And we're going to go into a little bit more about creating these Microstrategy pages. How do we create the best page about a specific topic? And what ChatGPT is really good at is actually going out there into the web, into the thousands of pages that it has access to, and putting together an outline and a very complete outline of what are the different topics and what are the different directions that I can talk and take this specific subject matter. And then with all of that research, then I get that research and then I put the building blocks into what I feel is going to be the best setup for a new piece. And then that outline then goes to a writer who then creates that piece. But I think, of all of the ways that we really use ChatGPT, using it to leverage, the power that it has to gather information, to give me the tools to be able to create an outline, that's something that it's been very positive. And it's helped us a lot internally.
Absolutely. So as long as, content doesn't need to have a long shelf life on the internet, there's nothing wrong with using these tools, right? Obviously, make sure a human actually takes a look at the content before you publish it. But there's absolutely nothing wrong, and I actually encourage you to use these tools for your process. Hey, Jason, thank you for your answer. So you have used these tools to publish content. If you don't mind, if you can tell us, does it actually rank? Did you see any kind of positive results? We'll get to your answer if you answer that a little bit later. Let's continue here. I think we're already a little bit behind time. So that document that I just spoke about that I created for this presentation that I gave in Denmark, I wanted to create the ultimate SEO price guide. So I used a very sophisticated process that included AI to a great extent. And as you can see there, again, I encourage you, do a quick search for SEO price guide. You should see the guide that we created using our micro SEO strategy methodology. Within 5 weeks, from publishing this piece of content, actually got to the very top in Google. So just do a quick Google search and then click on it, and then you'll see obviously what this guide looks like. That'll give you a good idea, right? What Google likes, doesn't like. And then we're actually going to do a more in-depth workshop about this exact methodology in about a month from now. So I'll share the link to that. It's a 2-hour, again, complimentary workshop. So hopefully you'll join us if you find this topic interesting. All right, here. Again, I'll share the link to the slides with you guys. You can sign up. It's a complimentary online course where we also share templates, etc. All right. Let's quickly talk about what not to do. Okay. So since the emergence of these AI generative tools, Google had to update their spam policies on their website. I highly encourage you, go to this page. read Google's spam policies and stick to it. Don't do anything that, basically don't do the stuff that you're seeing here. I can't go over everything, but I'll briefly talk about a section that the search giant has recently updated: spammy automatically generated content. Okay, so here we go. Spammy automatically generated or auto-generated content is content that's been generated programmatically by tools such as ChatGPT and Google Bart. Basically, it's not net new content, right? It doesn't provide really more value to the user out there than content that's currently ranking at the top in Google. So this basically, this sentence here addresses the emergence of these tools and why not to publish AI generated content on the internet. All right, so Daniel, I think I'm going to let you briefly maybe spend 3-4 minutes on what to do. Google has very specific guidelines on how to create helpful, reliable, people-first content. So I'll stop sharing here and I'll let you share your screen.
Sure. Let me know if you could see my screen.
Yeah, sure can.
Perfect. So this is actually this page here. I would recommend everyone afterwards to take a look at as well. And it's going to be part of the presentation that Chris will email you. And the thing here is that we could probably do a 6-hour webinar just on this page because there's so much information in here. And I'm going to cram it into 3 minutes and just kind of explain to you why this is so important, why we use it internally. So there's 2 things that this page is really important for, right? It's giving you the guidelines to, number one, understand when you're going to create a new piece of content, what are the things to look at and what are the things to include and not include and so forth. But second and most important, and one of the ways that this page is also used, it says right here, audit the drops. When a Google algorithm happens, or maybe not because of a Google algorithm, but when all of a sudden there's a huge drop of traffic and impressions on a specific page, this is a great checklist to go down to understand why we think a specific page got penalized, right? So quickly, we're going to self-assess the specific content that went down. First of all, content and the quality. There's all of these questions that you go through to see, if the piece that you're looking at or if the piece that you're going to be creating answers these questions in a way that makes sense for Google. The expertise question, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, is this created by an expert? Again, is it a good page experience? Are users able to go in there, navigate, find what they need to find, do what they need to do? Again, is this a people-focused content? Again, Google is getting better and better at understanding content that's just created for SEO reasons, like it used to be back in the days, and understanding if this piece of content was actually created to do something useful for people. Again, certain questions, right? You really want to avoid creating the search content focused pieces of information. So I'm going to kind of move down to the bottom here because this is where I want to spend a little bit more time, right? The first thing is really getting to understand the EEAT score of the content. And again, this is one thing that every search engine company, every owner of a website needs to really understand, because as far as we're concerned, the EEAT score, the experience, the authoritativeness, trustworthiness, and what's the second E? Expertise. Those are things that tells Google that this isn't just a piece of content that was created. The person who actually created this piece of content is an expert, has been around doing this for a while, is an authoritativeness and trustworthy voice about the subject. So learning how to build the EAT score of an author and of the brand is extremely important to get pieces of content to get created. And again, EEAT extremely important, and one of the things that again we can talk about for hours. But here's where I want to go. at the bottom of it all, these are the three questions that you need to be able to answer to make sure that every piece of content, is the kind of content that Google's going to rank. Number one, who created the content? Going back to the EEAT score, is the author. That's why one of the big things that we recommend every business and every website to have now is when you create a blog post, make sure you have an author. And then make sure that that author links to the author bio page. Why? Because on that bio page is where we can talk about who wrote this, what is their expertise, what are other things that this person has written, what are associations that this person is, part of, what are the speaking engagements. So really leveraging who created this piece of content. Again, how, right?
Actually, hey, Daniel.
Yes.
Just do a quick Google search for my name. So I've been building my EEAT score for a very long time. So if you look at, there's my LinkedIn, then the website, and then, interviews. There's my personal website. There's more interviews, YouTube channel, right? So Google, there should be a bunch of interviews and, stuff about me, yeah. So this is what EE building is all about, right? I'm the face of this company. I speak globally. Make sure, let Google know, in a press release that you're speaking, that you're doing a webinar like we're doing now. This all adds to building your EEAT score. Sorry to interrupt.
Exactly. Yeah, no, then that's it. And a big direction that we're moving in a direction of is not only just, working with companies to create great content, but it's working with companies to make sure that the people that are involved in that company are building their EEAT score. That's a big thing to be looked at. How? Again, was this written by ChatGPT? Or was this written by an expert? And Google can tell the difference, right? That's probably the big one here. And then most importantly, why? Why was this piece of content created, right? Again, Google's going to understand, was this piece of content that the company just created to put out there to rank for a specific keyword? Or is this a piece of content that was created to help answer or educate a specific visitor that has a pain point that is looking for an answer, right? Those are the pieces of content that just don't get created on a whim, right? It's understanding the user persona, it's understanding their pain points, understanding why they're searching for a specific keyword, and going through the research to create an ultimate piece of resource that will not only help them understand the issue, find a solution for the issue, but then also help them solve the issue. And again, that's how you're going to be able to convert a customer through that informational piece of content. So again, I'm over my 3 minutes. Hopefully that gives you a understanding of why this page is so important. And I would just recommend everyone go in here and just, go through it and read it to fully understand, the guidelines that you should be following when creating content.
Awesome. Thank you. You can unshare, Daniel. And heads up, I think we're going to run a little bit over time here. We are recording this session. If you need to bolt right on time, we'll be sending the link to the presentation. Hopefully, you can stay on a little bit longer. I already saw there are really interesting questions that we hopefully can tackle at the end of this presentation. All right, so let's talk about strategies to optimize a website, or excuse me, a specific piece of content for the new generative search experience. I did write a guide right after I published that piece of content that I got to rank at the top in 5 weeks. So right there is the link. This walks you in detail through this strategy. It does not yet include how to optimize for the new SGE. We're going to cover that in that December 13th 2-hour workshop, but I definitely recommend check out this guide that I wrote, giving away all our secrets, though there are no secrets when it comes to SEO, in my opinion. So I'm going to quickly walk you through the process, and then we're quickly going to show you an example of each of these line items here. So we like to work with content that's already performing in some form or shape for interesting, high search volume, high intent keywords. So we perform something that's called low-hanging fruit keyword research using SE ranking. That's our preferred SEO tool. And I'll show you an example in a second here. Then we perform Google SGE analysis. Again, I'll show you an example. Then we perform a full SERP analysis of the top 10 ranking pages. We then combine the information, the findings that we got through the analysis here. Then we develop a wireframe. I'll let Daniel talk in a minute about wireframe development. We then launch that page, deploy supporting tasks. And then a month later, we run an SE ranking on page SEO checker to further improve that page. So let's quickly, let me exit. Oh boy, there we go. Let me show you what low-hanging fruit research looks like. Why don't we take, we're going to take the Boulder SEO marketing website for now. So I should ask if somebody wants to volunteer. So this is SE ranking. It's a competitive research tool. Simply do a domain analysis on your domain. And then with our clients, we'll look at, okay, here we go. Are there interesting keywords? Look at that. Yay. We actually optimized the website a little bit. You don't want to go for keywords where you already rank #1, right? You want to find keywords that have a high search volume where you currently not #1. All right, so 1,000 people on a monthly basis are searching for search engine optimization packages. We're currently not #1. Let's just use this page as an example. Okay, so I want to see, are there other keywords that this page currently ranks for where we're not #1? You gotta be in the top, I would say 2-3 organic search results to get people to your website. So in this case, search engine optimization package, right? We're now #2, but let's assume we were at position 6, 7, 8, or maybe 15, right? This would be a very interesting low-hanging fruit keyword that I would want to optimize for, get to the top in Google. We're going to get a lot more traffic for this keyword. All right. So now we know this is one of our target SEO keywords. Okay. Now I want to do an SGE analysis. We usually pick 3 to 5 closely related keywords to optimize a specific page for. So now I want to know, does Google actually trigger an SGE? All right, so we got the paid ads up here. All right, look at that. It is generating. Oh, look at that. We're actually #1. Yeah. So this is the SGE information in relation to that search term. So this is critical information to have on that page, right? It's as simple as that. Look, there is the information. So we're going to do a search for all of our target SEO keywords. We're going to grab the information here, put it in a document, because we know this is what we need to include in our content. All right. Then we're going to do a SERP analysis. Let's use this keyword. Basically, we're going to take a look at what do the top 10 organically ranking pages in Google, what do they have in common? So we open every page. Actually, well, we use SE ranking. They have an amazing tool to do this analysis automatically. So we take a look, what do these pages have in common? What should we include on our page, right? And then we add even more content to make the piece of content even better. And that's in a nutshell, that process. That's what we're going to discuss in detail in that 2-hour workshop. Daniel, so once we have the information, that we need on the page. Do you want to quickly
Yeah,
talk?
I don't have to. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have to share. I'll just talk on this screen. But essentially, I asked ChatGPT to create an outline. Boom, I get a list of topics. Then we do this research that Chris just talked about, the SGE. We look at all of these options. Boom, that's another list of topics. Then once I have this long list of things, what I do is I say, okay, what is the best way for me to organize all of these topics into a sequence of events that, number one, answers the question on the top. Number two, makes it very digestible. So if people decide to go through and read this long page, it tells a story, it kind of walks through an order that makes sense. And then number three, when the writers are going to be writing this and when the developers are going to start building this page out, this is when I build this wireframe. And the wireframe is meant to give structure to the content, to understand which ones are pieces of content that are going to be smaller, that are going to link to a bigger piece, which ones of these are going to be bullet points or frequently asked questions. And once this wireframe is built, not only are the writers and the developers going to have a much better direction on what they need to do, but it makes a lot more sense of this long list of topics now has been organized into a page that makes sense.
Awesome. Daniel, just very briefly talk about some of the MicroStrategy related tasks, just very briefly.
Yeah, and then, so when we create a MicroStrategy, usually it takes us around 2 to 3 months to go through the process of, doing all of the research that we're talking about, then doing the wireframe, creating the content, building the page. And then once we launch that page, there's a lot of post-launch things that we do. We put in schema. We look at what internal linking optimization we can do. We look at offsite linking that we can do. We do a tech audit on the page. So there's a lot of stuff that happens when doing a MicroStrategy correctly, for preparing it, doing the research, when building it, making sure that you're building something that people are going to want to use and want to see and want to read. Again, that's a huge signal that will, hurt your rankings if people are not liking the way that, the page acts. And then once the page is up, there's a lot of different activities that happens post. And again, not to spend too much time, but there's a lot that happens around, building this new page.
Awesome. And then, so about a month after we launch one of these MicroStrategy pages, we use SEO ranking to run an on-page SEO audit. This is an awesome tool. It takes a look at so many Google ranking factors, and it gives you hey, here are some opportunities, right? This provides a very in-depth report. And then, we'll just go through this report and further improve that page. And usually the report, the results are quite remarkable. So we love SE ranking. They have amazing AI and SEO tools, and they do the job. If you want to test this tool, these guys are giving my students, I teach part of a master's degree for the University of Strasbourg, France, online degree. They give my students complimentary access to their tool. So I like to plug them. You can go to this link down there and I think test the tool for about 30 days, no credit card required. So numbers don't lie. This is actually a real customer example. We implemented one of those MicroStrategies. And then what you're seeing down here, the results, that's year over year, the last 3 months versus the same 3 months last year. I think we increased organic clicks by about 800%. As you can see there, impressions went up, even the click-through rate, average position. They're very happy, right? These are the kind of results that you want to achieve when it comes to SEO. And with that being said, Daniel, we failed. We're 5 minutes over time. So if you guys still have time, we'd love to take questions here. Just stay online, Daniel. Maybe let's do another 10 minutes. I think there are some really good questions. So I'm going to dive right into questions here. And Jason, thank you so much for sharing the information. I'll actually take a look at that a little bit more in depth after the webinar. All right, so Ani, I work in recruitment and manage 2 websites with basic job posting functionality. Do you see Google changing much to do with how people search for jobs? So I think there's a very specific schema related to job postings. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, right, that you need to pay attention to. I'm not an expert when it comes to recruitment websites, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to even jump on a quick call and, take a look at the site and see if there's anything that you should or could be doing. I hope that answers your question in some form or shape. Let me see. All right, Alan. Our company was at a Google event recently where they discussed new Google search. Coming from an e-commerce website perspective, in future, users may be able to perform product comparisons regarding quality and prices from results pages. Should companies expect a drop of 20 to 30% in organic search during a transition phase when users query product comparisons in the SGE? Yes, that's actually a really good question. I do believe that click-throughs to websites will probably drop dramatically because Google is going to keep a lot of people on their website, because most of us, we do a lot of research right before we pull the trigger and buy a product. We just bought a running machine, right? So I actually stayed on SGE for quite some time until I was ready to actually buy the product. And then, I did product comparison. I went to a few sites and, I bought it from my, the site of choice that most spoke to me. So to answer your question, yes, I think we're going to see.
And then Chris, I would add on there that it's not just e-commerce and product focused websites. I think all sites are going to see a drop once SGE really kicks in, because a lot of more people are going to be able to see the results and see the information that's on there without actually clicking through sites, right? So I think it's going to happen across the board.
Yeah. Oh man, great question from Tyson. Does Google penalize AI created images and design in the same way it penalizes text content? So we're still at the very beginning of, right, the image multimedia AI creation phase, but there's a lot of talk about, the creators of the original image, are they going to get compensated, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of development there. I did use AI generated images for that blog post that I created using AI. And I do believe that, Google is able to detect that. So my recommendation would be stay away from it until there's very clear guidelines. Google will update its spam policies. So I do believe, there will be guidelines in the very near future. For now, I wouldn't do it. Let me see. All right. Woo! We're about 10 minutes over time. If there are any more questions, please ask them now. Thank you so much for your interest in this webinar. I do hope it was useful. It was short and sweet, but we're sharing everything that we know about this topic. We know what is working and why. So I hope you'll be able to join our December 13th 2-hour in-depth workshop. It's a great way to learn more about this topic. Daniel, any last recommendations or tips or anything?
No, and then the only thing I would say is if there's anything that we talked about today that you guys would be interested in finding out or having a webinar in the future that we go more in depth, reach out to us. And then, if there's enough demand, we can definitely build something around a specific topic to go in more, because a lot of this stuff we can really talk about in more depth in terms of how-tos and what to look for.
Cool. One more last question here. Are there any free options if we cannot afford SEO ranking or Bart packages? Let me see. So when it comes to SE ranking, I think that tool starts, it's probably about $80 or $60. It's, you get what you pay for. So I'm a big fan of, actually paying for high quality tools. And then packages, Bart packages. I'm not sure if I clearly understand that, but let's say if you want to work with somebody like us, our packages start at $1,000. That's for local SEO. Then it goes up to $1,500, and then we have a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 package. So I hope that answers your question. But SEO, you get what you pay for. I'd stay away, turning to low cost SEO packages, because it's impossible to do quality work when it comes to SEO on, like $300, $400, $500. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. I hope this made sense. I hope you learned something new. Keep in touch, and I'm going to stop the recording right now. Thanks again. I look forward to our next session. I hope you'll be able to join us again.